Hey everybody, it's Teresa Acoin coming to you as your health defender today, and I want to address the stress levels going on with everybody, and I want to give you 2 tools that you can use today, right now, in fact, to help reduce your stress. Stress is nasty, we all know that. I mean, it affects how we think. Literally, when we're under stress, it can lock our cells up, so our cells at a cellular level cannot intake the good nutrients and get rid of the toxins like they should. They lock up, literally. Not healthy. And certainly right now we want to all be conscious of what we can do to boost our immune system. And stress does not boost it. It does quite the opposite. And stress prevents us from thinking clearly. I think we all know that. I know it sure does for me. And I feel like there's very few people today in the midst of this incredible, challenging time that the United States of America and the entire world is going through with this pandemic. I just feel like I need to help. I want to give you some tools to help cope with all this. That is my desire today. So there's 2 things that we can all do. One is get out in nature. It is amazing, and there's research and studies to back up everything I'm telling you today, that when we connect with nature, whether it's just walking barefoot in your 5 square foot of grass that you've got, or whether it is going to a park or whatever, or even raising your window and listening to the birds, those things give us those small escapes, just give us a cascade of benefits internally and psychologically. So we can all probably do that. So take at your lunch break, is there a plot of grass you can get to, or can you get to nature? Just know that it's worth the effort to get yourself into nature for just a minute, and your family, even if it's just for 5 minutes. A 30-minute walk would be ideal. But whatever you can do, that's going to help you, and it's going to make a difference. I even have an app on my phone that gives me opportunities to listen to different sounds. And when it comes to that, which a lot of people do that, it's the research has shown it is much better to choose sounds to relax you that are familiar to yourself. So if you've never heard, if you're not accustomed to, for example, to being at the beach, if that's not something that you have heard very much, that's probably not going to be the sound you want to choose. But if you've been to the beach a lot and you love the sound of the waves, that would be a great sound for you to listen to. So whether it's the breeze through the leaves that we all hear sometimes, or whether it's a brook, the streaming down a mountain, whatever the sound is, or whether it's just nature sounds, the crickets and so forth. I know I hear those a lot at where I live. Choose something that's familiar to you, okay? So that's number 1. But number 2 is the most impactful of all, because we all can control our stress levels with controlled breathing. It is amazing. I learned this decades ago, and I remember talking about it in a seminar, but since then, and we've known it. We've known that controlled breathing helps us reduce stress and many other benefits that I'll talk about. But here's the exciting thing that I have learned in the last couple of years, that there's been actual research on the brain connection to the way we breathe, that has conclusively proven that the things that we have noticed are actual. They've basically figured out why it happens and how it happens in the human body. Not that makes much difference to you or me today, but it's just, to me, pretty fascinating. So when it comes to controlled breathing, we want to be conscious of, let me just give you some of the benefits first of all. When we control our breath, we can control our stress level. Research has shown that there are many connections to our state of health with the way we breathe. If we control our breathing and slow it down, it can actually reduce depression. It can reduce our heart rate. It can reduce our blood pressure. Even our digestion can calm down, and that's important. We want to get the nutrients from the food. So it can calm down. All these things can calm down with controlled breathing. So quite the opposite. If you're breathing with shallow breaths, we can actually, that's a negative. So the air in our lungs when we breathe, and sorry for it, you're probably hearing the road noise here. Sorry for that. Hopefully you can still hear me okay. But when we breathe deeply, we actually get rid of all the air in the bottom of our lungs when we breathe out, where if we're breathing shallowly, that bottom air in our lungs just never gets rotated, if you will, never gets out and in. It just sits there, and that's not good. So anyway, deep breathing is super healthy for us in our physicalness and our mentalness. So there's two things we want to be aware of when we're attempting to do controlled breathing, and it's easy to do, okay? But two things to be aware of. Number one is whether or not we're breathing horizontally or horizontally or vertically. So if we're breathing horizontally, and I tend to do this, so I have to really work on myself with this, because when we breathe vertically, we're like raising our shoulders and filling our body up with air with this kind of movement, right? But that's not the best way to breathe. Now, I'm very posture conscious. When I was a child, my dad used to come behind me and pull my shoulders back all the time and say, Teresa, stand up straight, hold your shoulders back. So I've been conscious of this all my life, and as I'm getting elderly, I'm very conscious of it. I don't want to, to be stooped over and all that. So for me to consciously not lift my shoulders when I breathe, it's an effort for me, to be honest with you. But I have learned that it makes a big difference. So when we breathe through our belly, and if you're a singer, you know all this. When we breathe through our belly, and we allow our stomach to expand and to widen, not just lifting, but actually expanding into the belly, it makes a big, big, big difference. That is the most healthy way for us to breathe all the time, actually. So forget your posture and just breathe deeply into your belly. Secondly, do we want to breathe out of our nose or our mouth? Well, there are some really important benefits to breathing out of our nose, and we need to understand that. If you're breathing out of your mouth, you're ending up changing the acid-alkaline situation in your mouth, and you can actually create more cavities that way, more gum disease that way, because it's not a natural way for our mouths to be. You can actually create bad breath that way. So mouth breathing is a no-no. And in addition to that, you probably know it helps create more snoring and sleep apnea and things like that. So mouth breathing is a no-no. We want to make sure that we are consciously breathing out of our nose, especially when we're going to do what we're going to do in a minute here. We're going to really work on slowing our stress down, and we're going to work on being able to think clearly. That is so important right now, going through these crazy times we're going through. And we're going to learn how to breathe and control our breath to allow our bodies to relax. It doesn't do us, it is so harmful for us to be stressful. So there's 3 steps to this, and we're going to breathe out of our nose. And by the way, when you breathe out of your nose, you breathe in more oxygen, 10 to 20% more, in fact. And when we breathe through our nose, we also are avoiding getting a lot of bacteria and germs into our body. Okay? So a lot of reasons to breathe out of our nose. So how do we want to breathe? There's 3 steps to deep breathing, and they're simple. You intake, you retain, and you exhale. And slowing that process down physically slows down the processes in your body that we talked about. You can lower your blood pressure, your anxiousness, and all of that. So how do we do that? The simplest way, and you probably have learned some of these things in yoga if you've taken yoga classes. You take a deep breath in through your nose, you retain it, you hold it 5 seconds to whatever feels comfortable to you. Maybe push yourself a little bit past comfortable, and then slowly breathe back out. Now there's another step to that we can add, but if you just do that, believe me, if you do that 3 or 4 times, relaxed, not in a rush, you will reduce your stress. I promise. So I'm going to do one with you. So let's take a deep breath. And see me raising my shoulders? Okay, I'm not going to do that. Filling our bellies full of air. Hold it, 2, 3, 4, 5. Release. Exhale. So repeating that, taking a deep breath. And exhaling. Now to really control your breath, when you exhale, at the bottom of that exhale, if you'll retain that for a few seconds before you take another breath, that fourth step can really slow your stress levels. Your whole body is going to be so much better in the way it's going to be receiving your nutrients, in the way you're allowing your brain to think clearly, and you're certainly going to be improving your overall health. How we breathe is super important. It's connected to so many different things. So take this tool, whether you're in the car right now, you're sitting at your desk right now, you're at home on the couch worried about where you're going to get your next toilet paper from, your meal from. Listen, this is an ultra serious time, and we need to take it seriously. We need to pay attention to our health along the way and help as many people as we can. We are all in this together. I know of no one in my circle and in their circles who's not affected by this. So please take it serious. Take your time to do some controlled deep breathing out of your nose, in and out. And please calm yourself down. It does no good for any of us to be stressful and antsy. So you can share this with a lot of people. And by the way, before I close, please know that I have given you articles I have written and posted on my website, YourHealthDefender.com, YourHealthDefender.com. 3 articles on building and boosting your immune system. Super important. So the last thing we want to do is worry about being healthy right now. We want to boost our immune systems. We want to make them stronger than ever. And there are definitive things that we can do to accomplish that. And they're all in those 3 articles. The first article is about what we do externally, washing your hands. Is it better to use a hand dryer, or paper towels, and all kinds of things like that externally. But the next 2 articles are giving you ideas on what kind of supplements you need. And the third article is probably the most important because it's telling you how to build up your good gut health. See, 70% of our whole immune system is in our gut. So to build it up and build up that good bacteria is super important. Let me give you an example. This is a research study that was done. I'm giving you the results. 10 salmonella bacteria infect a person or persons with poor gut health. I mean, they've got a fever, they're running to the bathroom, diarrhea, the whole works, right? Salmonella, bad stuff. However, the same salmonella, but increase it to 1 million, not just 10, but it takes 1 million salmonella bad bacteria to affect a person with a strong gut immune system. Whoa, that's pretty amazing, right? So combine doing these things in my articles with deep breathing, relaxing, de-stressing. You're going to be able to use the nutrients more in your body and digest better, and hopefully cope with this incredibly challenging time. I'll get back to you soon. Thank you so much for listening today and being with me.